My whole purpose of this video is to give hope to any young man or man in general who is trying to change their life and currently reflecting on all the things that they regret and decisions, like regretting decisions that they made that led to not favorable outcomes. So if you've watched any of my other recent videos, you'll know that I recently just got out of the longest relationship that I've ever been in. And that relationship meant a lot to me. But it took for the relationship to end for me to truly get an opportunity to sit with myself and reflect on all the things that I did wrong in that relationship that contributed to it ending. And in doing so, not only did I realize the things that I did wrong in the relationship and the things that I did to contribute to hurting my partner, I also just realized a lot of the things that I had been doing wrong in life in general. And one of the main things that stands out to me is my constant chase of validation. I not anymore, but through most of my life, I was on this hunt to be validated by people outside of me, and quite honestly, by a lot of people that didn't matter. I mean, if I'm keeping it real, we shouldn't be seeking validation from anybody. It should come from within or from God, but it's especially hurtful when you look back and realize that a lot of the validation that you was seeking was, you was trying to get it from people who didn't even matter, meaning that they either not in your life anymore, and they were just here for a season, and their influence or your desire to get their validation wasn't even like it didn't even matter because that person wasn't even going to be in your life for a long time anyway, or just seeking validation from people that don't matter, in the sense that when you really think about it, like they really don't care about what's best for you. And when you have to face the reality that you made a lot of decisions that set you back in life based on wanting to be validated by people who didn't matter, that's hurtful. But it's also, one of the biggest learning lessons that you can receive in life. And for me, like I said, it took for me to lose something that was really important to me and really meaningful to me, for me to realize how like misguided I was in my own life. And it's nobody's fault. It's my responsibility. It's our responsibility to figure out our own path. But there's a lot of reasons that when I do reflect, I realize why that validation it seemed so important for me. For one, growing up as a mixed dude, like I I was predominantly, and when I say predominantly, I mean like 99% raised by my dad's side of my family, which is, my black side of my family. And with that, I obviously, I don't know, it's hard to explain to somebody who ain't mixed, or to somebody who is mixed but identifies, primarily with one side. And the reason that I do identify primarily with my black side is because, like I said, that's the side that's where my roots are. And that's not me denying the white side. That's just me acknowledging the reality that I don't I don't relate to the white experience because I didn't grow up as a white kid. Like I said, it might make sense to some people who ain't mixed, but for the most part, I know, people who are mixed will know exactly what I'm saying right now. But because obviously I'm super light skinned, so in my soul and in my mind, I felt like I was a black boy. But on the outside, I always had to fight this battle of being accepted where my roots were planted. Because there's some people knew, but then there's others who like they'll look at me and be like, he kind of, but he also kind of like, what are you? And then that starts that whole process of having to like overcompensate your identity or try to like seek validation for your identity because you want to be accepted by the community that you relate to and that you identify with. Even vice versa, like I whenever I did like the very rare occasions that I did go around my mom's side of the family, I felt like an outsider there too, because I fit. I felt more comfortable around my black side of my family, but I didn't. Like there still was that deep part of me that always knew that I probably would have to defend my identity to somebody. But when I was around like my mom's side of the family, I never was comfortable because I just never felt like I fit in anytime I went around them. And I probably could count on both hands 2 times how many times like I've been around my mom's like extended side of the family through my entire lifetime, because it wasn't many. But yeah, that was part of my conditioning of seeking validation and just wanting to be like, I wanted to be like my dad so bad. Like I wanted to be my dad. But then, obviously with that too, there was always a part of me that knew that I would never be able to at least physically embody my dad because he's darker than me. And I'm not, like I said, it might sound crazy to people who don't have this experience, but that was real deal for me. That's something that I had to grow up defending, and that played a role in me feeling like I needed to seek validation wherever I went, because I knew that there was always somebody questioning what my identity was. And as a kid who I didn't have the emotional intelligence that I have now to understand that shouldn't matter. And I mean, honestly, if I'm keeping it real, I didn't have many people telling me that shouldn't matter. It kind of just was what it was. But inside, it still affected me. It still had an impact on me. And so now, that's just one of the few things that has come to the surface in the wake of the end of this relationship that I was just in, is how detrimental validation seeking was to my relationship too, because that caused a lot of problems. That caused a lot of insecurities. It caused me to project those insecurities onto her. It caused me to mismanage my emotions. So when I would be sad or when I would be confused about something, instead of projecting it in a healthy way as the emotion that it actually was, I would always disguise it as anger or something, because that was the only emotion that I knew that I was taught would not weaken me when I was growing up, and it was anger, but now, even though it's difficult, I know that I control where my life is gonna go from now and what I'm gonna do with everything that I've learned. Like I said, what I'm talking about now, that's just a real minute part of this whole, self reinvention phase that I've been going through. But I did want to just touch on that for anybody who is in the process of reinventing themselves. Like I said, especially men, that there's hope that's still there, but you just gotta be committed to doing the work to change yourself from the inside out. But yeah, we'll catch up later. So These are just vibes. I'm just Josh. Peace.